get into the technology of today, you can produce in your basement. You don't need to find people like the Andreases of the world. But the reason you do is because getting a producer who can produce material that doesn't sound sterile, that doesn't sound technologically flat,
Right.
that it has life and it has energy and it has charisma in sound is
So if you're willing to give the world your secrets, no, I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
But I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like
I can get a bit obsessive about that kind of stuff.
well, and it shows. It
It's,
shows.
I mean, I feel that there's not a perfect sound to a record, but there's definitely a point where you feel like the vision's understood, and I really welcome the collaboration um, between a band and a producer. I think that's where the magic happens, because I'm fresh ears to a project. I come at it
Right.
where the band has worked on these songs for years. They've created a vision of how this is going to come together, and really what makes the record come together is somewhere between where the producer's ears are at and where the band's vision is at. And I definitely have a vision for how I want records to feel. Not as much sound, because records can sound in a million ways with the same source tracks. But the way I want to hear a record definitely comes back to those early master guys like Scott Burns and Colin Richards and stuff like that, where there's a mystique and there's a depth and there's an atmosphere to listening to a metal record that's more important than the sonic perfection of everything.
Correct. I agree. So when you get a new project, band comes to you and says, "Hey, we want to use you, whatever. Here's our source files." What's your approach? Do you kind of just take and listen to these raw files and like you mentioned, get a vision for what this should sound like, or what's your research process for when you get a new band?
Typically, it's talking with bands before listening to anything. I mean, I'll listen to the tracks and sort of get a sense of where they're going, and I'll have some impulse to take it somewhere, and I'll make sure to try and find out if my ideas are resonating with the band. And I feel like with our collaboration, you were really very hands off. You're like, we've going for this modern HM2 influenced sound. We have these amazing vocalists coming in. We want to hear your take on it. And with your project, I definitely heard those like more gothic inspirations coming through with the keyboards and choir tracks you put on, but also like just the majestic size of everything. It's like this can't be like a small thing. This needs to be like a huge, expansive kind of weighty production thing. So it's very individual per band, and I always try to find a way to bring their vision out the most. So my productions will sound very different from each other and vary from project to project, but it will usually be the band will tell me this is the closest we've ever felt to how we want it to sound. So that's the most important thing to me, is just like making sure that the band can hear their own vision and feels like it represents where they want to go as a band.